Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Yeah, Perfect Plex Radio. We about to go live on him. Mike Knoxxx. That's with 3 X's cause he's hardcore. Are y'all ready? We about to give y'all something special. You ready? Let's go! At the money, now you're all what you getting in. Perfect Plex Radio, got them listening. Mike Knoxxx, from Cena to The Rock, or whatever wrestler is hot. News and interviews, this a one-stop shop. Matter of fact, let me give you more choices. You could call in and be the voice with the voiceless. So what you waiting on? Let's get it cracking. Let's talk wrestling, that's enough rapping. Perfect Plex Radio. Simply, we about to give y'all something special. You ready? Let's go!
What up, everybody? As you can see, Mr. Mike Knoxxx is not here today. My man is doing some heavy moving. He'll be back very soon this week, but nonetheless, the show goes on. They've given me the keys to the kingdom. The inmate is now running the asylum. Welcome to the Mike Knoxxx Show, hosted by the Z is Solid. I am your host, the Z is Solid, a.k.a. Dice Man Holla, a.k.a. the head WWE coffee pourer, a.k.a. the apprentice of Thanos, a.k.a. the Shang Tsung of wrestling debate. You come from me, your soul is mine, a.k.a. Big Champ in the chat, Kif those not in the know, a.k.a. your mama's favorite daddy. And today is the last Monday of February, which means it's the last Monday of Black History Month. The last one. So that don't mean put away your Black appreciation. No. But we're just gonna up it a little bit. We're gonna up it a little bit. Usually we do two. So now we got 5. We got 5 people that we're gonna give our flowers to. Also, show rundown. We're gonna address AEW's Black diversity problem. Does it still exist? Because last year Tony Khan tried to hit him with that whole little rap album, John, but Black people still wasn't on AEW. So we want to talk about that. Has it changed? We'll see. Asuka versus Belair or Rhea versus Charlotte. Which one is the better main event choice? Because we already know that Roman versus Cody is another one. So you have to close out with one of these women. And then what potential WrestleMania match does WWE cannot afford to get wrong? Like, that is very important. So, I mean, with the predictions that everybody has for these matches, somebody is bound to be disappointed. We already know. But if you walk away from a Mania disappointed because you didn't get the match that you wanted, 2 words. But it's a WrestleMania. You're supposed to just enjoy it. So like, just take it for what it is. It's a dope show that's meant to entertain you. It's going to entertain you regardless. So don't go in there try to critique every single thing because you didn't get it your way. They still talk about a Super Bowl. You mad? We don't care. It's whatever. Now, let's start with the Black diverse, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. I messed it up. I messed it all up. Now, look at this picture here. Out of all of these people that we see here, the mains that have really been getting pushed have been the Acclaim, who just lost the titles. Swerve is kind of finding his footing. I mean, you can't deny what Jade Cargill is doing, but still at the same time, she hasn't had viable opponents. That's the problem with her building. AEW's been 2 years? She's been running that one show for 1 year, and are fans still not seeing if she has it or not? She's great marketability, beautiful as all hell. She looks like a real life Storm, but look at the rest of the talent on here. Keith Lee, they're doing absolutely nothing with. Top Flight is really good. They're pretty good, but tag team wise, they're one of the good tag teams that they had. Jay Lethal was one of the guys that are getting constant TV time, but they're not doing anything with it really. I mean, the inclusion of Jeff Jarrett with Jay Lethal was pretty dope though, because they have history. So that's pretty cool. You still keep heat on Jay Lethal even after the Briscoe match for Jay. And then Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks is finally starting to be the star that we've been seeing in him, or I saw him. The first time I seen him, I thought that he was a star. He had star written all over him. Other people see a baby Rock. I don't see it, but I could see how, it could be very Versace-esque Rock with the corporation. So I get it, but Powerhouse Hobbs, he came in with Moxley. They're not doing anything with him. We see Powerhouse like every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. Trash. They're not doing anything with him. I don't think they will know how to use him. They should let him go to WWE, go to Impact, work on your craft some more, and then go to WWE or come back to AEW. But Lee Moriarty is another guy that I think that really, really is good. The mouthpiece that he has with him is really good, but everything about him is like gives me Ricochet vibes with a technical wrestling aspect. Like, he's really good. I will say that Willow Nightingale is really, really good. She's been one of the more organic wrestlers on AEW as far as the women are concerned. But Athena, no, Athena's not doing anything. The former baddies with Jade Cargill, Kiera Hogan definitely has it. But she's in Jade Cargill's shadow. It's like I feel like AEW, they need to have a women's secondary championship. I feel like they need a women's secondary championship, or you need women's tag team championships. It's pretty simple with that. Like, you have to do something with this talent that you have, but like aren't really moving the needle as far as the women, as far as the black women go. It's something, one of those things like WWE had so much talent with the women that they had to create those tag titles, but then they started out strong, and now honestly, I'd be forgetting that Damage Control is even the champions. That's how boring they have become. And is that a result of Sasha and Naomi walking out? Could they have made that a bigger title than what it is now? Maybe. We don't know. That's one of the things that remains to be seen. But I just feel like it's something about whatever AEW is doing with their women that just doesn't hit for African American fans. Not even just the women, but the men as well. Like, they're just misrepresented on that. Not saying that WWE is doing a better job, but I feel like AEW will focus more on the Latino culture more than African Americans, and that whatever. So if you look at bringing this back up, it's not a lot. It's not a lot to choose from. Your heavy hitters, I don't even know why Sonny Kiss is even on there, because ain't nobody seen Sonny Kiss wrestle. I don't even know. Nyla Rose don't even get acknowledgement here. So out of that, you got seven stars that I think that you have. I think Lee Moriarty is a star. Obviously, Ricky Starks. The Acclaim is already probably top merchandise mover for them. Powerhouse Hobbs. Swerve is really finding his footing there. It seems like he has a lot of free reign, so that's always a good thing, especially when you have somebody who came from the system that is WWE and giving them free reign. But it's not like he didn't have it, being one of Triple H's guys. So looking at that from that perspective, I think they still do have a lot. They still have another ways to go with them as far as the black wrestlers go, but it's not as terrible as it used to, as it was the first 2 years. Like I said, I think they try to save face with the "This Is Who We Are" rap album crap. Not gonna lie, didn't even try to peep it. Didn't even think about peeping it. So that to me is very null and void. I don't see anything for. Is any of those people a world champion outside of Ricky Starks? I don't think anybody on this list is a world champion that's homegrown for AEW. I do believe that Swerve could be one, but it'll probably be like another 2 years before he's even in the picture. Keith Lee needs to get in the picture. Powerhouse Hobbs could be another guy in 2 years that could be world champ, but the TNT title is what they have that for those guys. But it's like you got the same people fighting over the TNT championship, and I can't really see anybody taking down Samoa Joe for this. Samoa Joe is just a monster. He's very reminiscent of his time in TNA with the title. So I think that in that retrospect, that like you really need something else to get these African American wrestlers over. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just not there for some reason with AEW and African American fans or African American wrestlers, and that's a huge disconnect in the wrestling community. So the question is, do they still have the problem? Slightly, I believe slightly. If you give it let's give it another 6 to 8 months, and then revisit the question. Did it improve? I mean, it improved, but it still should be better than what it is right now. And that's where the problem lies with that. Now, moving on, because we are far away from Mania. However, it's never too soon to predict Mania, right? It's never too soon. So the question is, for one of your night main events, and I'm guessing this will probably be night one, which of these two women matches are you putting your money on right now as it stands, and where you see the potential? Where are you putting your money? For me personally, I'm going with Asuka versus Belair. Rhea versus Charlotte is cool. The way they're trying to play up Charlotte like she's the face is very asinine to me. Like, Hassan, what's going on, my guy? I don't think that Charlotte's I don't think she's the face. Regardless of how she's presented, she's not the face. She's a terrible face. Charlotte is a terrible face. She's got Randy Orton syndrome. Like, Orton's a horrible face, but he's a really good heel. Charlotte's a really good heel. She can make you hate her. And Rhea can make you hate her, but it's only in the sense of when she's whispering to Dom. Other than that, everybody else is loving Rhea. We love Rhea. You can't deny it. Only goth chick that I wanted to be with. But on the other end, you got Asuka versus Belair, which has a completely different dynamic, because 4 months ago, people were clamoring for something meaningful for Asuka, and she disappeared, and she was on Twitter, Instagram, hinting back to her persona of Kana. And if you know any history with Asuka, Kana is just a monster. She's a beast, and she's finally been unleashed. This is the refreshness that Asuka fans needed and wanted from her, and we're getting it. And it's a good build. It's a slow build. It's a nice build. But Belair, I mean, yes, Belair, like Mike says, she's the female John Cena. You could say that. I don't agree with that statement, but I'm not going to say that she's not. She's marketable. She's very well spoken. People recognize. She sells merchandise. She's on talk shows. She's everything that you want your champion to be. But at the same time, Asuka does need her WrestleMania moment. So at this point, what moment means more to the industry or to that wrestler? I would think that it would be Asuka, because Asuka did the deed for Charlotte to have Charlotte break her streak. Asuka ain't really had another moment since then. So if you look at it from that perspective, I think Belair needs the title off of her at this point. She needs to be that her on Raw needs to be shaken up. She needs to go back to SmackDown. We need Belair versus Charlotte. That would be dope for the women's division. I mean, until we get somebody like an Alexa Bliss back, until they actually build Meacham back up, who's Holly, I'm sorry, Michin, I'm sorry, Mia Yim, until they build her back up to where she's actually a formidable opponent. But right now, she's stuck in limbo because the OC isn't there. AJ Styles is hurt, so the Good Brothers ain't on TV. So what's the need of having a lot of Michin on your TV? Null and void. So I think that Asuka and Belair was the best choice for Raw because we're going to get Rhea versus Belair eventually. Like, we're going to get them eventually. We know that. But I think that if you can treat it as a Bayley and Sasha or a Becky and Charlotte, I think that's just as dope. You can treat that just like those women for these other two women. And looking at it, it's like, all right, Belair hasn't lost her title in a long time. So Asuka hasn't held the title in a really long time. And it's a really hard, like, you don't want to see Bianca lose, but you don't want to see Asuka lose either. So, but on the other side of things with SmackDown, I wouldn't mind if Charlotte lost. I am quite frankly sick of Charlotte Flair. Only because her runs are boring. Her runs are very, very boring to me. In-ring skills, dope. Mic skills, dope. What is a meaningful feud that Charlotte had defending the belt? Excuse me. So you looking at it, it's like Charlotte has to be beat. I don't see it any other way. Charlotte has to be beat. You get the belt off of Charlotte. You put some distance between Rhea and Bianca. I gotta believe that, or I have to think that there's going to be some sort of superstar shakeup, something like that. Because I mean, if she gets a SmackDown title, is she going to break away from Judgment Day? Probably not. So Judgment Day needs a fresh coat of paint. I think this thing with them and Edge is going on way, way, way too long. I personally probably thought that it would be the OC versus Judgment Day at Mania. But with Dom going against Ray, potentially, I mean, this is where we're at with it. So for me, my money, I'm definitely taking Asuka versus Belair over Rhea and Charlotte, only because I think all four of these women need a fresh coat of paint. They definitely need a fresh coat of paint. If you have Asuka lose, what was the transformation for? The transformation would be for absolutely nothing. And that's the worst type of thing that you want. And WWE they do make that mistake sometimes. They do have people go through transformations all for nothing. Like, this version of Asuka is supposed to be something that everybody fears. And that way that Bianca is playing it up, where she has the respect for Asuka, until Asuka does some of that weird and she's spitting up whatever it is, mist or venom, or I don't know what it is. But then it throws Bianca off. And it says something, because Bianca, being the confident wrestler, the confident champion, and for her to show some sort of fear, I think that it speaks to the character development of Belair, but it also speaks to the character of Kana, the alter ego of Asuka. So if you look at it from that perspective, I think that absolutely has to be a done deal. But Rhea and Charlotte, Rhea has to win because she needs her get back. And she spoke about it, in which I still say that she should have beat Charlotte at Mania, and she lost the NXT Women's Championship. That did nothing for nobody. Charlotte being NXT Women's Championship, that did absolutely nothing for nobody. And didn't she drop, like, if I'm not wrong, King Vaughn backstage, did she just drop the NXT Women's Championship after she won it? Like, did somebody beat her for it? Because I don't remember that.
Yeah, yes, I know Charlotte didn't have it that long, but I'm gonna look into that in a minute.
Okay. So King Vaughn's going to look into that. But to my memory, I don't remember her defending that championship against anybody. I think she just won it. She just took it just because she could. which that did absolutely nothing for nobody. Unless this was around the time that Rhea had her concussion, mouth injury, whatever it was, she had to get all that surgery on and took time off. Unless that was for that, okay, I get it. But that night, particularly, Rhea red hot, coming off the heels of that the match and the build up that she had, like there's no reason that she shouldn't have won that. Charlotte, this might be an unpopular opinion. How many people has Charlotte put over? How many people has she given the rub to? Does anybody know? In the comments, who has Charlotte put over or given the rub to? Because off the top of my head, I don't know. Wish Mike Knoxxx was here, because I would definitely flame him if he cannot tell me off the top of his dome who Charlotte gave the rub to. I'm not talking about anybody main eventing, somebody who is a budding mid-carder, somebody who is on the precipice of being a star. Who did Charlotte give that rub to? Slightly to Liv, but she helped Liv develop her character, but she didn't absolutely just give her the changing of the guard. And with her being her mid-30s, early 30s, mid-30s, all the 4 horsewomen being in their mid-30s, early 30s, yeah, they're about 32 and up, all of them, I believe. So it's time to bring fresh blood. Io Shirai beat.
Io beat her. Io beat her at NXT in your house.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that, because I do not even remember that.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Asuka is definitely the great Muta of the women's division, and they are letting her be her. And that's definitely credit to Triple H. And people say that, some people say Triple H has changed things, other people say he hasn't, but there's more. There's something about the wrestlers that he's letting change, and it feels like they have more input on their character. Looking at somebody going to the ring, being their ring presence, the way they're handling their matches, it looks like they are actually enjoying what they are doing, instead of just there to do the job, mailing it in, so to speak. So I definitely think that Triple H's hands being in all 4 of these women's hats to help this come together, it's great. But Asuka has to go over, Rhea has to go over, Bianca needs to be a chaser for now, Charlotte needs to go do something else, go after the tag champs or something if you can find a friend. But for me, just me, I need Asuka to win that Raw Championship. I need Rhea for SmackDown. Even switch these women. Even if you want to bring, if you wanted to switch the titles, that switch them. I'll put Asuka on SmackDown again. She'll run SmackDown again, but I think she's a better Raw star. I think Bianca's a better Raw star, so swapping them might not be the best. But Rhea, I think Rhea could use the fresh paint of being on SmackDown. And if you get in my head, this is where I'm thinking, right? In my head, I'm thinking, you give Rhea this, you give Rhea this win. Give Rhea this win. Give them the rubber match at SummerSlam. That's still a really good match. Because outside of that, I don't think anybody on SmackDown, and anybody in the comments, tell me if I'm wrong, is there anybody else that even composes a potential threat outside of Raquel Gonzalez? I don't think so. So I would see those 3 women. I would love that. Natty still isn't finding footing. I don't understand what they're doing with Natty. I hate it. That's my boat. But and of course Shayna and Ronda are doing the tag champs thing. Liv is just Liv. I don't know if she'll get another chance. But she had a nice run. It's helped develop her into her character. So the fans absolutely adore her now. because she got her ass beat so many times, and she still gets up. And I mean, at the Chamber, she didn't tap out. She got double submitted and didn't tap out. She just passed out. That's a good way to build and not kill off the momentum that you've built with somebody for the better part of 7 months, I believe. So I think that she's had a good year from Mania to Mania. I think Liv has had a good year. That's what you really want from a Liv Morgan. She's steady. If you can get behind a Carmella, then you can get behind a Liv. But as far as going against either one of Rhea or Charlotte, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't see it. I don't see it. Absolutely right, bad guy. Rhea definitely needs to win. Bianca versus Charlotte. I want Bianca versus Charlotte. I thought that when Charlotte came back, that it should have been on Raw. We don't get much Raw Charlotte. The last Raw Charlotte we got was Pandemic, I believe. So, and does that count? I mean, the Pandemic era is such a cringe-worthy era, but it's such a needed era that it can't be forgotten. But if you try to go back and watch that WrestleMania, it is very cringe. It is very cringe. I mean, it's just cringe. There's no crowd noise. I enjoyed the Pandemic era for what we got. I mean, we got some cool stuff with the Fiend and Orton. We got I mean, the what they dubbed as the greatest wrestling match ever in Orton versus Cena. I mean, Orton versus Cena, Orton versus Edge was really good to me. I think the crowd would have loved it, but I mean, literally they were just going through their history of their opponents that they faced against each other, and I thought it was pretty dope. But it's not one of the matches that I want to put in my top 50. So not even top 50 Mania, I don't want to do that. So but SmackDown women's roster still needs some building. It still needs something. I feel like Raw is loaded as far as the singles go, because at any point in time, Bayley can break off. And she can do her own thing. I think that's needed. So Bayley can break off. We still have Asuka's there. Alexa Bliss is gone. She still is a threat. I guess Carmella's on Raw. Carmella's a thing. And then you can build up a Meechin, I'm sorry, and then Chelsea Green whenever she decides to stop getting Karen'd. But I thought they moved her to SmackDown. So that, I guess, if yeah, I think so. I think that if this is Asuka needs her WrestleMania moment, and I think that she can go ahead and retire in like a year or two. But I mean, Japanese women like to wrestle for a long time. I think Japanese people in general like to wrestle for a long time. So I think that she would probably just want to do something fun. I think she'll probably end her career on this kind of gimmick, which is fine. I think that every veteran should be able to go to ride off in the sunset with something they always wanted to do. I think that she's definitely Hall of Fame. Not even close. I agree, Jeffrey. I think that I wasn't happy for Liv, but I wasn't mad that she won. I was like, okay, this is interesting. But the way that they got the belt off of Ronda, it made perfect sense. If you're gonna, like I said, if you're gonna get behind a Carmella, you can get behind a Liv. The only difference with those two is I think that Carmella's a better talker, a better interviewer, whereas Liv kind of spitballs, and she's always filled with so much emotion that her words don't really seem believable. But she's a good chaser. I don't think she's a good defender. Just my opinion, though. And right now, not yet. Okay, so Bayley and Sasha carried SmackDown in the Pandemic era. I believe so. Ding Dong Hello was birthed in the Pandemic era. Loved it. I love it. It's very reminiscent of Jericho. Talk is Jericho. Not Talk is Jericho. What the show did Jericho have? Whatever, where he had the Jeritron 5000.
Yeah, the highlight reel.
The highlight reel. Yes, the highlight reel with the Jeritron 5000. Yes. And Bailey, you're right. Bailey is better off going solo. I actually am a fan of Damage Control. They remind me of those like bullying mean girls that, you know, just are annoying. But you named the group Damage Control. They came at SummerSlam. You made us think that they were going to be really heavy hitting, hard hitting, to the point where Bianca needed the help of a Becky Lynch, and then it just didn't pan out. For like, I don't understand. Fans clamor for WWE to not release people like a King Coda or Io Shirai, Io Sky, whatever you want to refer to it as, and then they bring her back. You pop for 2-3 weeks, and then you're like, we're over this. So I don't think that's fair, but I think also it's something about them that just doesn't sit right with people. Asuka, Bailey is just a mouthpiece for them. I think Io does really good. She does really good expressions, right? She does really good expression. She doesn't have to talk. But they need to build Io up, because Io versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship is something that is needed. That is needed. Their interaction where one is speaking Japanese, the other is speaking Chinese, and they are cussing each other out. That is great. We need that. We absolutely need that. The momentum that Rhea has, like, and Rhea knows that she has it. Like, she's playing the fans on Twitter, on Instagram. First of all, she knows the dudes is looking at the ass. So the dudes is never going to boo. The dudes is never going to boo until she whispers in Dom's ear. That is it. Other than that, and Rhea's been wearing pants this whole time in her career. She's been wearing pants. She messed up her gear. She had to put them tight little shorts on. And immediately, every dude that hated Rhea Ripley now fell in love with her. I am not of the people that hated Rhea Ripley. I loved her from the start, but I love her even more because she knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing with her outfit. Everybody, this is the Mike Knoxxx Show, hosted by the Z is Silent. We're going to take a quick break really quick. We're going to get into King Vaughn doing his history, and then we're going to come back with the executive consultant joining us. That was a little bit more than 10 minutes, brother, but nonetheless, better late than never. All right? Peace out.
Yo, it's crime time. EST. Soul Man, Rocky Johnson. It's the Honky Tonk Man, NWO. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? UPR and Around the Blocks give to you This Week in Wrestling History with King Vaughn.
All right, everyone. Of course, this is King Vaughn Jr. on behalf of the Victorious Ones podcast and, of course, Perfect Plex Talk Radio, sponsored by UPR. And I'm here to give you your week in wrestling history. And by the way, side note, happy belated birthday to Nature Boy Ric Flair, February 25th. But of course, in regards to the week from the 27th to the 3rd, February 27, 2000, WWE No Way Out took place at the Hartford Civic Center, Hartford, Connecticut. And this event is most famous for Triple H defeating Cactus Jack in the Hell in a Cell match. The retirement match where Triple H defeated Cactus Jack, and of course that same night Kurt Angle defeated Chris Jericho to win the Intercontinental Championship, which he would end up losing at WrestleMania 2000. And so, of course, on February 28th, 2000, in one of the most infamous skits in Monday Night Raw history, of course, this is the night that Mae Young allegedly, quote unquote, gave birth to a hand, thanks to Mark Henry. And of course, on February 28, 2009, Ring of Honor had its first set of TV tapings for the new weekly TV slot on HDNet. So the main event of this was Bryan Danielson defeating Austin Aries by submission. On March 1st, 1992, second Super Bowl took place in Milwaukee. And of course, Sting defeated Lex Luger for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. And of course, early on, Brian Pillman defeated Jushin Thunder Liger for the WCW at that time Light Heavyweight Championship. Of course, on March 2nd, 1993, in a match tape for WCW Worldwide to air 25 years later, the Hollywood Blondes defeated Ricky Steamboat and Shane Douglas to win the WCW World Tag Team Championships. And of course, on the same night, Paul Orndorff defeated Eric Watts in the final of a tournament to crown new WCW TV champion. And so, of course, on March 3rd, 1997, WCW Monday Nitro was held at the Omni. And of course, this was the last event that was held at the Omni Arena, which is, most known for Georgia Championship Wrestling, NWA, Jim Crockett Promotions. So that was the last night that was held there. And of course, on March 3rd, 2003 was when Stone Cold Steve Austin made his return to WWE, since he obviously notoriously walked out the previous summer. And of course, on that same day, March 3rd, 2014, on an episode of Raw in Chicago, the Usos defeated the New Age Outlaws to become the WWE Tag Team Champions. So, notable birthdays on February 28th, Masato Tanaka turns 50, Norma Smiley turns 58, Eric Aguilera turns 46, Masato Tanaka turns 50, Norma Smiley turns 58, Ricky Steamboat turns 70, the missing link turns 84. Of course, on March 1st, the most famous ones, Kyle O'Reilly turns 36, Big E turns 37, and of course Booker T turns 58, and of course on March 2nd, Lance Cade would have turned 42, and Manami Toyota turns 52. Mike Von Erich would have turned 59, and Deborah Marshall, of course, Deborah McMichael formerly turns 63, and so that is the week in wrestling history. Dice, back to you.
Yo, it's crime time. EST. Soul Man, Rocky Johnson. It's the Honky Tonk Man, NWO. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? UPR and Around the Blocks give to you This Week in Wrestling History with King Vaughn.
I think you're on mute. Yeah, you muted.
Mute. That's terrible. First day on the job, I'm messing up. Vaughn, are you staying for these last segments, brother?
Cool, no problem.
All right, so welcome to the show. The inmate is running the asylum. The executive consultant is in the building. Before we get started, listen, I just want to say Rhea knew what she was doing with those pins too. The Hucklebuck pins. She knew what she was doing with them pins. Them pins, dog. Oh, man. So, going in, the next thing that we got on the show, what potential WrestleMania plan can WWE not afford to get wrong? Executive consultant, I'm going to start with you. Since you're just coming on here, I'm going to give you the floor because I know you got a lot to say. So, what do you think WWE can't afford to get wrong?
I mean, there's only one thing you can really think of, and that is obviously the main event of Sunday night, which is going to be Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Heavyweight Championship. I know a lot of people out there are clamoring for Cody Rhodes. What are you about to say, Dice?
So me and King Vaughn was talking, right? And I still have the sliver of hope that what if Rock comes and costs Roman the title for the way that he's been doing his family?
Oh man, I really thought we were serious on the show. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Rock's not going to be there to cost anybody anything. Okay, it's just not happening. What's happening is Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. A lot of people think Cody Rhodes is destined to win this championship. I'm hoping they make the right decision and having Roman Reigns retain the championship. Cody is not that guy you want to drop the title to, because even though he might carry a brand, I don't think he can carry the entire company. Doesn't look good with those two titles, and people will turn on him quickly because he was force-fed to us. And I mean force-fed. The man hasn't taken a single L since he came back to WWE.
Not to mention the man had a Cody countdown.
He had a Cody countdown. He has more pyro than anybody. He was number 30 in the freaking Royal Rumble. Like, all these vignettes for his return. Like, how much more do we have? Every single promo, and I said this, and we were talking about it earlier in the UPR chat room, UPRW chat room, Dice. This man cries on every my father.
He does.
My father
on cue.
wants me to win that championship. Like, it's force fed. Roman's been killing the game, increasing the game every single month for the last 2.5 years. For Cody just come countdown, rising up. Pyro. Oh, no. Now, if he does one, you know it's going to be shenanigans. But still,
So are you thinking that this Cody run is it underwhelming? Where do you think? What do you think?
I don't think it's necessarily underwhelming. I just don't think he is that guy that should do Roman Reigns, because if you look at the storyline Roman Reigns has been telling for all of these years, right? Even the Sami Zayn one, which people have been talking about as like one of the best storylines of all time, if not the best storyline of all time, right? Cody and Roman, what? They just started having conversations about each other in the last 2 weeks. It really just been Cody and Cody and Paul Heyman, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not there. When Roman finally loses, you need to be on your feet, celebrating and cheering. And yeah, the people there are probably going to do it, right? Why? Because a lot of times, whoever wins the world title, people will cheer for because they're just happy to see a world title change.
Mm-hmm.
But in the long run, that's not going to be it.
Vaughn, where do you stand on this?
Yeah, so as far as where I stand on it, it's a very shaky situation. I'm certainly with Chris on that as well, because of the fact that this is one of the more divided main events that I've seen in a long time. Because the thing about it, you have to really be meticulous in the way that you execute this, and I definitely see where he's coming from, because of the fact that when you look at it, even when you win the Royal Rumble, it's not a guarantee. It's not a promise that you're gonna win the title right away. Case in point, Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 11. Edge has been 0-2 when he's won the Rumble for world titles. You know what I mean? So Cena lost at WrestleMania 24 after he won the Rumble. So it's not a promise that that somebody's gonna automatically be the champion. And plus, Roman is closing in on 1,000 days as Universal Champion alone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like we're at that breaking point. So like honestly, I mean, I wouldn't like riot if Cody won, but at the same time, as a part of me, it's like, let's ride this thing out. At the most, that if anything, I would have him lose at SummerSlam. If you're gonna pick any other Big Four pay-per-view outside of Mania, you know what I mean. So that's pretty much where I stand on that, because like he was saying, they don't have that many interactions with each other. They don't have that type of chemistry. You don't know what they're gonna do in the ring.
So, staying with the course of the bloodline, does the bloodline take a sweep of losses at Mania?
That's another thing I just don't see. I do believe the Usos are dropping those tag team titles. I think it's time, and I
would hate for them to lose the titles, because they haven't had a WrestleMania moment.
Well, they won last year.
At Mania?
They won last year.
Last year. That's when Shinsuke Nakamura's partner, I forgot his name,
Rick Boogs.
Rick Boogs, that guy,
got
injured. But what I could see happening, and I don't want it, because I don't want the Bloodline to take the L. I don't want Roman Reigns to take the L. I can see the Usos losing the titles to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And I can see Jay costing Roman Reigns the championship. That frees up Jay and Roman to have a feud, and Roman not go after the titles, and Cody can go against somebody else. I definitely can see that happening. I don't want to see it happening. Like I said, I just don't think Cody deserves that escalate right now. I think he needs the accolade, I should say. I think he deserves to take an L first.
Okay, so, and I'm glad you said something, because I don't know if you've seen the picture that's been surfacing on social media, but Jay now has another tattoo.
Yes,
he's got the other chest full on.
Okay.
And he's been in all black for the past 2 weeks, and we've seen him. Right? So, like, I feel like he's definitely going to try to take Roman out one more time. I mean, he take that shirt off, and you got 2 Samoan chest plates.
Yeah,
you are making a statement, and I believe that that's going to speak volumes. And I if that's true, I might be being selfish because this is my idea and it's my train of thought. But if that's where they're going to go with it, I think it's smart to not have Jay take his shirt off, sit in the crowd, all black on, nobody's seen it, as opposed to the one person that spoiled it on Twitter for everybody. But I think it would be a dope showing. I think that what they have going on right now, the segment that they had on Friday, was just amazing. It brought better character development for Jimmy, because he's been in the shadow ever since he came back. I mean, ever since main event Jay was born, Jimmy's been in the background.
Which is amazing, because most of the time, I mean, people couldn't tell the Usos apart really, but Jimmy's really been the forefront because of Naomi. So It's amazing to see that role. Really, really switch. Because before it was like Jimmy Jay. Now it's Jay Jimmy. So
yeah. Yeah, and he's already mad about his 2K rating.
That's how I was going to bring that up. Exactly.
Well, I mean, if you can look at them, they look completely different now. I mean, Jimmy's hair is longer than Jay's, and all that other stuff. But also their body styles are different. That's why Jimmy always wears a shirt, and Jay doesn't really wear a shirt. They look completely different. Somebody said I can't tell them apart, and I'm like, are you blind?
Looking at the old videos, like when every now and then I'll go back and watch Total Divas from the start, and looking at them without their face paint, it's like they both got the long hair. And if you didn't know that one has face paint on the right and one has it on the left, one has a handkerchief on the left, one has it on the right, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, it was hard back in the day.
It was.
And for the longest time, they would just say a Uso got the tag. Didn't say which name, because they couldn't tell it apart.
Yeah.
So I think
kind of like the Bellas. After a while, the Bellas were easy to tell apart too.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean,
not even just because of the implants, but I could.
Well, not the implants, but just Nikki's body filled out a little bit more. Like Brie has she has a really chiseled jawline, whereas Nikki's more rounded out. And so I start ever since Brie had the baby, I was able to tell them apart immediately. Like Brie just looks like a mom, whereas Nikki looks like she should be a model. Not saying that Brie's not pretty. I mean, they're identical, but still, you can definitely see the difference between them. Scott says that WWE jammed himself by putting 2 belts on Roman. Yes, he's been the whole damn show for the last 2.5 years. The bloodline has been goated. Cody wins the belts. You're in the same situation. So I asked you guys in the chat, how do you split these? Because you're referring to both these belts as one. So how do you actually split them? That's and WWE fans are going to pick it apart no matter how or what terminology that they use with this, because they've been known to say, well, the Usos defended the Raw tag team titles. Well, I thought it was defended in all 4 titles. They're I'm sorry, not all 4, but both sets of titles. So they're going to pick it apart regardless. So how do you do that? If you can do that. So or does somebody win it? Or does somebody win it and then they say, I'm not going to hold the company hostage. Here's this belt. And then they have a tournament or battle royal, whatever. Final 2 get the contending match and the winner gets the belt.
They've done this before with the women's title when they combined, so to speak, and Becky 2 belts. That's how it was born. Right. But then they were able to split it, and then Charlotte won the SmackDown title, and then Bayley eventually won it immediately after. And then in the tag team titles, they recently announced Raw tag team titles on the line, SmackDown tag team titles on the line. So there's a way you can do it out of it. They have that loophole in there, and I think that was the main reason why they did it, because they haven't done it since. It was like a month ago. They haven't done it since. But I think there was a loophole in there so they could show you, hey, we're not exactly entirely sure where we're going to go, but we need to take a title off of somebody, we will. But I don't believe in having the titles combined. I never have. I never will. Raw, even though they're doing a really good job with the United States title and the Continental title, making them the secondary titles and escalating them, Raw without a champion is lacking, a real world champion. And I think that's the only time I wouldn't mind Cody winning. If he just won the title for Raw, sure, no problem.
Yeah, right.
Don't take the Universal title from Raw.
Yeah. Derek Mitchell in the chat. Shout out to you, man. The last 4 lengthy WWE title runs with Bruno Sammartino, Bob Backlund, Hulk Hogan, and CM Punk lost to an opponent you didn't expect them to lose to, besides CM Punk losing to The Rock. I agree, but I also, while CM Punk hated the idea of The Rock being in the main event, I don't think that he doesn't have respect for The Rock. So I don't think that he ever did not want to work with The Rock. I think it was the capacity and the situation that he was put in. I mean, for 2 years, it was CM Punk. It started with the Summer of Punk, and it went on for another year and a half. And he absolutely shouldn't have lost that. He should have went into Mania with that. But you needed something else to fuel that Rock and Cena feud. And that was fine.
It should have been triple threat. But one thing I will say about that is, and I was talking about that, CM Punk is one on record, and this is why he was a babyface and turned heel, as he felt secondary still, even in the company as the champion, to John Cena. And this is once again why I will harp on and answer that question, why I don't think Cody Rhodes should win this championship, because there's no way in hell, and there are rumors he's taking a break, but whatever. There's no way in hell Cody's going to be that guy when he wins that championship. It is still going to be about Roman Reigns at the end of the day. it will still be about Roman Reigns. Cody cannot
Yeah.
take that spot. So
Absolutely.
unless you want to have a CM Punk 2.0,
No.
don't do it. The person who takes the title from Roman needs to be that next guy that you could really do it. The only person I saw be able to do that is Drew McIntyre or Bobby Lashley, possibly. That's it.
Thank you. That is the one thing that I've been saying to Mike for at least 8 months.
That's right.
There's a long list. I wish I would have thought of this before the show. I would have got the graphic. The long list of opponents that have lost to Roman.
Yeah.
So you look at that list. You mean to tell me the Fiend couldn't do it? A Braun Strowman couldn't do it? A Edge couldn't do it? A Daniel Bryan couldn't do it? Lesnar couldn't do it?
Kevin Owens.
But we're supposed to believe that Cody Rhodes is going to be the one. He has no backup. He has no fit. Nobody is there.
Nobody.
At least with Lashley, we could have got Lashley. Lashley's going to challenge Roman. MVP says, hey, he's got his bloodline. I'm going to call the business up. We're going to have your back.
Yeah.
That would have been chef's kiss. Beautiful. We thought we were going to get that at Survivor Series. It should have been a Survivor Series match. But I don't know if they're keeping. Seth Rollins could do it twice, and he knows him the best. Like
never lost to Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins.
I just don't understand how WWE thinks that this is what is making it believable. I just can't believe it.
Yeah, like what? When you factor everything in, it doesn't equate.
Yeah.
So if anything, I would have gone with Lashley or McIntyre at best.
Going into the last segment of the show, we are going to give our flowers to our final Black wrestlers of Black History Month, but that don't mean just because the month stops that you stop celebrating them. And, Mike's list comprised of older people. I ain't with that. I ain't got the time to be looking at grainy TV clips. So I just wanted to give some light to some people that I love watching in the 2000s. So honorable mention here, I have the Pope, the Black Pope. I'm sorry, D'Angelo De Niro / Elijah Burt, whatever you want to say, whoever you want to, and Marcus Corvon, aka Monty Brown. Two guys that I'm not gonna say they didn't live up to their potential because they just didn't really get that chance. But Monty Brown should have been a champion in TNA. He should have been. But WWE, they bit that storyline of Jeff Jarrett versus Monty Brown, and they applied it to Triple H versus Booker T at Mania. That whole storyline of Booker T not being able to be a champion because he's black and beneath him was ripped off of Jeff Jarrett. I don't know if that's true, but I would have a very big, good argument with a lot of points with that. So Pope is going for the NWA championship. I hope he gets it because they haven't had a champion that was black since Ron the Truth Killings, which was a blink of an eye, and that was at least 22 years ago with the start of TNA. So I hope that he keeps continuing to do his thing over there in NWA. I wish more eyes were on NWA because it's really good wrestling. But it also reminds you of a bingo hall. So I will understand why some people still don't tune into it or watch anything that has to do with it on YouTube. Any thoughts on these two before we get into the real celebration of our black people?
The biggest thing I remember about the Pope is taking a spear from the top rope from Batista. Spine buster, actually. I just know it hurt. It looked like it hurt.
Oh, they also were part of the New Breed. Mm-hmm. Failed. Yeah. Oh, failed.
New Breed, yep.
First up, we have Awesome Kong. One of the reasons why we can accept somebody like a Nia Jax. Not pretty to look at, but she was a beast. 2-time TNA Women's Knockout Champion, 1-time TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champion, and got inducted to the TNA Hall of Fame. Had a brief stint in AEW for a month, I believe. It was from May to June, and she was gone. Had a baby, got into some trouble. But I mean, everybody who's any interview from any knockout, any woman that has wrestled her, encountered her, watched her, they all say that she could have been so much greater than what we know her as. I mean, she came in WWE for like 6 months as Karma and then got pregnant, and that stopped everything, which sucks. I mean, real life takes over. Same thing with Marcus Corvon. It was his sister's kids died, or her sister died, and he just quit wrestling altogether to take care of his sister kids, and he never came back. And then the one spotting that we had of him was Lance Archer versus somebody in AEW, where he did a promo video for them, and that was it. So Awesome Kong, I hated her at first when I first started to watch TNA. I hated her, but the matches that she had with Gail Kim, with Angelina Love, even Mickie James, she was on her back end of her TNA career when she faced Mickie James, but still some of the best matches I've seen in TNA, for what you would think, the size difference, the height difference, and she was still able to work these ladies, which was pretty dope to me. She even got involved in the Bobby Lashley and Scott Steiner feud, where Scott Steiner was going after Bobby Lashley's wife. I just watched that clip earlier today. It was a dope feud. She interjected herself in that because she wanted to be one of Big Papa Pump's freaks. Disgusting. But thoughts on Awesome Kong?
What could
None.
been?
All right.
What could have been?
What could have been?
Awesome Kong's also one of the few women that have joined the Men's Royal Rumble.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, and then she definitely had a cup of coffee. I probably poured it for her. Moving on, Jay Lethal, Black Machismo, little Ric Flair. Some of his key highlights: PWI ranked him 27 of the top 500 singles wrestlers. That was back in 2008. I don't think he ever got higher, which sucks because he's probably the greatest or one of the greatest Ring of Honor champions. That's pretty arguable depending on who you want to say. I don't think that the amount of reigns actually applies to his greatness. I think it was the length of his reigns, the opponents that he had, the opponents that he put over. One-time pure Ring of Honor champion, Ring of Honor World Television champion, two-time Ring of Honor World champion, one-time Ring of Honor tag team champion with Jonathan Gresham. Womp womp. Don't really care for him. TNA World Tag Team champion with Consequences Creed, a.k.a. Xavier Woods. And a TNA X Division champion 6 times. He was one of the guys who, when you tune into TNA, he was a reason in that X Division. There was him, Sanjay Dutt, AJ Styles, Petey Williams, Eric Young, Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode only participated, but he wasn't really actually considered X Division, but he still was mentioned that. Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, and then he World X Cup, which was with him, Motor City Machine Guns, and Sanjay Dutt. And then he was the X Division Wrestler of the Year in the start of TNA in 2001. Fellas, your thoughts on Jay Lethal, the Black Machismo, a.k.a. have the greatest segment on TNA with the woo-off with Ric Flair? Y'all are brutal.
Wow,
y'all are brutal to my
no,
today.
I'm gonna say it right now. I was waiting for Chris, but I'll say, he's an ROH legend when you look at his resume. You know what I mean? Like, not in the same vein as Bryan Danielson or Kevin Steen, the guys like that. Not in that vein, but especially when it comes to black wrestlers. You know what I mean? Like, he certainly has a very decorated resume. Shout out to Jay for Jay Lethal for liking our tweet about him. During Black History Month. So kudos to him. But yeah, like I said, Jay Lethal, ROH all-time great. Did his thing at TNA. You know what I mean? So one of the best to not make a name for himself in WWE. So that's the best I can say, when it comes to him.
Very well said, and completely agree. He definitely made a name from outside of WWE. I don't think he's somebody that could have made it in WWE, quite honestly. but that doesn't take anything away from his talent, his skills, obviously on the microphone, as well as in-ring work. Clearly, he's in the twilight of his career now, but he still can go. Never sleep on Jay Lethal. In my opinion, one of the greatest Ring of Honor world champions of all time.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Moving on to the last two. Dun, da, da, da. I had to text Mike. I said, I don't remember if you did or not, but this is one of his ladies. Filet mignon. Naomi. FCW Divas champion one time. She's been around. She's been in the company since 2009.
Yes.
She deserves respect.
Yes.
FCW Divas champion one time. WWE SmackDown Women's champion 2 times. Now, was she the first black one or was it Sasha?
First black. It was
She's
her.
the first
It was her. Then Sasha.
And then first ever WWE Tag Team Champions with Sasha Banks. First black. No, the first one was Sasha and Bayley.
Bayley, yeah.
All right. And then WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal winner in 2018. I remember that because I was watching Total Divas. So, I mean, what she's brought to women's wrestling for the WWE, just watching Total Divas and watching her struggle and trying to get over and being more than just a funkadactyl, and where she worked on her craft, whereas what's homegirl Ariane, whatever her real name, her wrestling name was, she did not. Clearly, she just wanted to be noticed, and she wanted to use it as a springboard to get more famous. Whereas Trinity actually, she owned her craft, and she's one of the most respected, probably one of the, before Bianca Belair, she was the most athletic woman on that roster. Now, but she, like Mike says, she does get winded because she does a lot of stuff really quick. Her cardio was really off, but give me two minutes in the ring, she's good. Boom, 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 boom. She just can't keep it up very long. So, I mean, if she comes back to WWE, I think a slower pace of match would still highlight her athleticism, but also let the women know that she is a veteran and she can call a match. So I think that going into ending Black History Month, I definitely want to put a female on there that is very noticeable and one that is deserves our respect, deserves and not just Black people, but women wrestlers and wrestling fans in general, because I think that some people get her confused with being very gimmicky. With the glow thing, but the glow thing sticks, and it's usually superstars' second incarnation of their character is the one that sticks out. Maybe third, but it's usually the second one. Thoughts on Naomi, fellas?
Oh yeah, I mean, like as far as Naomi, you know, she's definitely one of the all-time greats when it comes to women's wrestlers. She's definitely the case of wish that she had gotten more, more when it comes to opportunities. I agree when it comes to some of the things as far as like in ring. That's why you can't really rank her as high as your Sashas and Biancas and everybody else, but she still very much deserves much more respect. But she's done the most of what was given to her. You know, it's a shame that she was dealt, her and Mercedes were dealt the hand that they were dealt. But like I said, initially she was, she made the most of what they gave to her.
I stand by the statement. I feel like she didn't want to, but she just went along with it. I felt like she went along with it.
Yeah.
But while you have the floor, Charmaine says, do you think if she comes back, can she join the bloodline? I think it's long overdue if the bloodline is I don't want to say they're falling apart, but they definitely have some dissension in the group. I think it would be too much. I mean, I thought that we were going to get a Naomi and a Nia Jax to run roughshod over the women's division, take the tag titles, go after the Raw SmackDown championships. I thought it would have been great. You would have had a very NWO type feel to the bloodline, but I mean, you guys know I think NWO is the greatest faction of all time, but the bloodline has to be the greatest faction of all time with accurate and interesting storytelling. NWO storytelling wasn't storytelling at all. It was literally it was warriors come out and play type shit. Like it was just anarchy. Whereas Bloodline actually felt like they took things from different factions. Like you got a little bit of NWO, you got a little bit of Main Event Mafia, you got a little bit of you got some DX stuff in there with them doing whatever they wanted to do. I guess you can align that with NWO as well. But they took unity as well from Horsemen or the Hart Foundation. So they definitely pulled from different spans of the factions that we've grown to know and love and hold in high regard. But I just think the time would be is too much now. And if you do it, it's literally the equivalent of doing a red and black NWO or a black and silver, LWO or BWO, whatever NWO that's not NWO. Right. Executive consultant, your thoughts on the beautiful, lovely filet mignon?
I mean, I've always had much respect for Naomi. I think she's the most underrated of the women's superstars of the 21st century. Her popularity alone gets her in the conversation because she's extremely popular. I made a joke about it, but it was the complete truth. When she was on, most of the time, she trends, right? No matter what she does, she trends. She's very good with her social media. She's very good as a character. I always argue with people online because that's what the keyboard warriors do. Because they always used to argue with me about who's more athletic between her before Bianca came out, between her and Charlotte. I said, there's no way you can tell me that Charlotte's more athletic than her. And I'm not taking anything away from Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair is one of the greatest. I'm not going to go Mike style, but she's one of the greatest. But my argument is now everything Charlotte can do in the ring, Naomi can do in the ring. Everything Naomi can do in the ring, Charlotte can't do in the ring, right? It's just that Charlotte is a smoother wrestler than Naomi. But when Naomi turns it up, Naomi turns it up. And her WWE SmackDown Women's Championship both times was very emotional for a lot of people, not just because she's African American, just because they thought finally she won the big one. The women's tag team title was very impactful. I was there for it. I was actually there for her women's tag team title and her SmackDown tag team title. The SmackDown Women's Championship the second time because it was in Orlando. And her WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal I thought was very well deserved and surprising. Right? Team Bad. Good job, Jeffrey. Team Bad, they still mentioned today. That was the whole point of her and Sasha. I don't want to see her in the bloodline, but let me tell you something. Because of her Team Bad persona, she will pull it off. I think Nia Jax should be that person because she's a heel magnet, right? A heel magnet. But Naomi will fit in very well. And the bloodline do split up a little bit. Putting her with Jimmy might actually do Jimmy some good. I would like to see Naomi back. I feel like she's been gone way too long. I agree with you 100%, Dice. I feel like she kind of went along with the Sasha thing, right? Which is why I have a little bit of a problem with Sasha, and she was one of my favorite wrestlers ever, Sasha Banks was. But she robbed us of Naomi versus Bianca because that was the program at the pay-per-view. Because she didn't want to take the Elder Ronda. She said, "Come on, girl," and Naomi said, "All right, I'm with you." But Naomi versus Bianca would have been a tremendous dream match, and I don't like saying that word too much on this year, but 100% it would have been a dream match, and we were robbed of it. Come back.
Absolutely, I agree 100% with that. Now, in our main event of giving flowers, I wanted to do this as a collective. I started out with one person, but I could not talk about the one person without talking about everybody who helped this man since his coming back. And shout out to Leo Rush, but. The Hurt Business as a collective. If we want to talk about the bloodline, the 1B to them was the Hurt Business in the pandemic era. So, I mean, I think that what they did coming together, you got a guy in Shelton who deserves his flowers and was pretty much putting talent over. You had an up-and-comer in Cedric Alexander who was killing it when they first started 205 Live. I remember just wanting to tune into 205 Live matches on Raw, not whenever they was doing an actual show, but on Raw because it was a different energy. They brought very X Division, WCW Cruiserweight type energy to the show that's 3 hours, and it tends to get a little boring. And they ramped it up. And then you put a Bobby Lashley with MVP who are real life best friends, and you give them their WWE version of TNA's Beatdown Clan, and they polished the idea a little bit more. It gets Bobby over even more than he was with Leo Rush. However, I still would have liked to see Leo Rush and MVP in this, but Leo was gone. So going through the accolades of the group as a collective, CBS Sports Comeback Player of the Year in 2020 by MVP, Pro Wrestling Illustrated Comeback Player of the Year MVP, WWE Championship 2 times by Lashley, although it was post Hurt Business, still Hurt Business influenced that because he needed to get focused and got away from the Hurt Business at that point in time. 24/7 championship 4 times. Benjamin had it for 3. Alexander had it 1. WWE Raw Tag Team Championships, Alexander and Benjamin, and Slammy Award for Trash Talker of the Year and MVP. Oh my gosh. One of the, you know what?
You can't even list all their accolades because, you know,
if you go back to
U.S. champion,
Intercontinental champion, United States champion. Sean Benjamin is a cruiserweight champ. I'm sorry, not cruiserweight. That's Cedric Alexander is a cruiserweight champion. Cedric Alexander is a tag team champion, Intercontinental champion, United States champion. I mean, these people's resumes speak for themselves.
Yes, absolutely. You know,
I would definitely agree that Hurt Business is definitely like the Main Event Mafia in the beginning days, but the Main Event Mafia got a little bit stale. I'm gonna say about six months into it, it got a little bit of stale because them trying to put over the TNA roster, it wasn't much outside of Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Bobby Roode, what's his partner in Beer Money, James Storm. It was very, very scarce trying to put those guys over, but I knew what they were trying to do. They just weren't able to execute it. But I mean, it's TNA, so it's very rare that you speak about a great storyline with a TNA. But back to the Hurt Business.
Never agree with the Main Event Mafia.
No.
The Hurt Business. I mean, and I'm taking nothing away from Hurt Business, but Main Event Mafia is my favorite faction outside WWE ever, right?
Yes, I say it's the greatest.
4 or 5. I mean, honestly, when I say greatest, they're in my argument because you're talking about WrestleMania main eventers. Okay, no offense to Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. They're not WrestleMania main eventers, okay? I'm not paying money to see Cedric Alexander against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I'm sorry, I'm not. Right? But you talking about Kurt Angle, Sting, Kevin Nash, Booker T. Come on, man. Come on. So I can't agree with that. But I see what you're saying, and I would never take anything away from Her Business. Her Business is a fantastic faction, ended way too soon. One of the things, and I'm going to let you go, Dice, one of the things that I do have to say is that a lot of people hated it. I've always appreciated the Thunderdome era, right? This is when they came up. People were like, wow, there was no fans. It was piped in and all that stuff. I said, you know what the Thunderdome era did, right? People shit on Vince. I would never shit on Vince McMahon because he's the reason we're all here, right? Care what he did. He's the reason we're all here. What the Thunderdome did was allow them to tell stories and push people that you would never allow to have been pushed before simply because of the fact that they would have been in front of fans who are casual fans who don't know who they were like, Cedric Alexander, this is boring. Let me go grab a Coke. Right? And you would have watched it on TV and the crowd would have been silent. And they would have just pulled the plug and moved them on to the Main Event or 205 Live or whatever show they had at the time. But the Thunderdome era allowed them to get in there and shine, which is why the Hurt Business was able to do something, which is why Apollo was able to do something, right?
Yeah.
Because ever since he came back, they were like, fans like, oh, he's boring to me, but we were able to see him shine a little bit more in the Thunderdome era. Bayley came up. People talk about it. Bayley was the MVP of the Thunderdome era. Even your tribal chief, Roman Reigns. All of this is because of the Thunderdome era. Her Business Thunderdome era. Put some respect on the Thunderdome era.
Yeah.
Yep. I told we had the debate of the Hurt of top factions, and I told Mike that the Main Event Mafia, in my opinion, is the greatest faction of all time because it is not like any other faction. There's no faction where every member has been a world champion. And he says
the initial
Shield. Yeah, the initial. I'm like,
yeah,
but the Shield
were
sucked. Oh yeah, they were bad. Rampage Jackson, Tito Ortiz. Oh gosh, that was terrible. But there was no group like that, and I mean, the Hurt Business was just definitely. You're right. It carried the pandemic era along with the Drew McIntyre. because they I don't think that the Hurt Business would have got over without the pandemic era. It would have probably been a little slower burn, and then they probably would have pulled the plug on it. But
yeah, because they gave up too easily. If it's not hitting on TV for the crowd, they pulled the plug immediately. WWE was famous for doing that, but they took their time with a lot more Alexa Bliss. They took their time a lot more with a lot of these storylines simply because of the fact the crowds weren't there to shit on them. Hey, that's how we are as fans. I'm sorry, we're fickle. We do that. It's a joke, and we say it is true. But they took the time because they didn't have anybody shit on. Like, hey, trust the process and watch what we're trying to do.
Yep. So, closing out Black History Month with five and two honorable. Just going through them real quick. Pope, D'Angelo De Niro, Marcus Corvon, aka Monty Brown, Awesome Kong, Jay Lethal, Naomi, and the Hurt Business as a collective. Can't say anything more about all of these talents. As we close the show out, fellas, I appreciate you letting me hijack the Mike Knoxxx show and turn it into the Z is Silent, aka Main Event Silent. I'm here, but I thank you guys for stopping by. Vaughn, thank you for holding me down.
Absolutely.
Executive Consultant, thank you for joining in. Mike will be back this week, y'all. So all of you guys that are looking for Mike, where's Mike? I kidnapped him. He's in the trunk of my car on some Eminem Dr. Dre type shit. But anyway, because I'm here and Mike is not, he didn't get a Charlotte Flair. You didn't get no Charlotte Flair. So no.
Right.
So the consecutive weeks of saying that is done. But since it's my favorite thing that he does, I will continue with the streak. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the executive consultant. That is King Vaughn Jr. I am the Z is Silent. This is the Mike Knoxxx show, hijacked by me. Do not wake up in the morning and say to yourself, I love me some me, and don't love God. That's crazy. And know that, never mind. Peace.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Yeah. Perfect Plex Radio. We about to go live on him. Mike Knoxxx. That's with 3 X's because he's hardcore. Are y'all ready? We about to give y'all something special. You ready? Let's go! At the money, now you're all what you getting in. Perfect Plex Radio, got them listening. Mike Knoxxx, from Cena to The Rock, or whatever wrestler is hot. News and interviews, it's a one-stop shop. Matter of fact, let me give you more choices. You can call in and be the voice with the voiceless. So what you waiting on? Let's get it cracking. Let's talk wrestling, that's enough rapping. Perfect Plex Radio. Simply, we about to give y'all something special. You ready? Let's go!